welcome back to another video. First of all, do you like my sweatshirt? I love it. It's the child. My grandma got it for me at the Disney store. We don't have one. We have an outlet, but we don't have an actual Disney store in Oklahoma. And so, holy cow, it's so cute. I just want to mention it. I love it. It's super soft. So if you're interested, they have these at the Disney store. Anyways, back to the review. Today I'm going to be showing you guys another thing that I got from Galaxy's Edge. Probably the most exciting thing I got from Galaxy's Edge, and that is the Savi's Custom Lightsaber. And this is the... Oop, I hit it on Darth Vader. This is the one that I did. I did the Protection and Defense lightsaber. And that's basically what it looks like in a nutshell. I'm obviously not really going to do this review facing forward in this direction because it's a little bit awkward. There is a lot to cover with this dude. So I am really, really excited. There are 4 options that you can do at Savi's workshop in terms of lightsabers. They're custom in the way that you can pick between these 4 and they have different themes. All 4 of them are different themes. There's power and control, elemental nature, protection and defense, and then the one I always forget, that's the Jedi one. I'll list it up there, but yeah, and so between those you can choose one, and then you get basically like 2 different lightsaber designs, and you can mix and match in a way. And so it's not completely custom. It's not like grab out of a bin and literally make your own thing. Now you could achieve this if you got all 4 lightsabers, and even maybe all 8 if you did a different design if you did 2 designs per lightsaber. You could pick whatever you want, but they do kind of design these in the way that whatever you choose, whatever option you choose, no matter what you do, you make a decent lightsaber, a good looking lightsaber. And so I have researched them ahead of time because I couldn't just like walk in there and be like, oh, I don't know what I'm going to get, because that's not me. So obviously before I went to Disney, I was like staring at the different pieces for each one, and I decided on Protection and Defense because I just love the pitted metal look, and this is ancient writing on the bottom, so I was told, at least from the workshop. But I just thought that this one looked really, really cool. It was so different from the kinds of lightsabers that we get that you can buy that are Force FX, and so I just was like, yeah, boy. And yeah, I really like the coloring on it. It's got some copper and gold, and obviously the silver. The blades on these are removable. I'll show you how they remove and everything, and basically how the lightsaber works over on my Millennium Falcon carpet. So yeah, let's go. Alright, so here we are. Here is everything disassembled. My goal with this video is to try to make a pretty comprehensive review over these hand-built lightsabers so that you, if you go to Disney World, can decide if you want to spend $200 doing this. So before we begin, I will say for the $200 price, the experience of building a lightsaber and you almost experience like this custom show where you are involved in it is amazing. Like, Disney has a great crowd management, but there's no denying that it's insanely busy and you are one of thousands of people there. And the really cool thing with this is when you go and build it, there is, I think, 15 of you, if that. There might be only 10. So it's incredibly intimate, and it is really, really cool. If you haven't watched my vlog on it, I recommend you do. And even that just cannot capture how cool that experience was, especially because it's really, really dark, and so it's a little bit hard to capture. But anyways, this is basically what you get other than the experience for the $200. And so these are the pieces. This is the chassis, is what they call it, which is basically the components where all of the metal fits on and the lightsaber blade fits into. So they give you this to start out with, and obviously you can tell there's a hole right here for the crystal to go into. And it's just plastic. It's plastic, and it's probably got some, like little rivulets, so screws. On the inside there you can't see, but it's just a black void that your lightsaber goes into. It's very deep. On the back side here, this is the battery pack, which I'll just show you. If you press in and hit and pull out, it is the same battery pack that is in the new Black Series Force FX lightsabers, which is such a nice change from the old ones that were like, I think they took 6 AA batteries, so we are now down to 3 AAAs, so not too bad. But the way that fits in is just let me see if I can get it back in. You just push it in and then you twist it and it locks in place there. So that is the chassis. It's just everybody's is the same. The blade you get is pretty simple. Now you can buy blades at Doc Ondar's. You can buy the short blade and the long blade, and this blade is actually exclusive to Savi's workshop. It is the in-between length. So I actually do have the other two blades here because my husband bought these Ahsoka lightsabers, so it did take the two different types of blades, and I'll actually just show you those really quick. So what you're looking at here is the two on the left are the long blade and the short blade that go to the Ahsoka lightsaber, and the one on the right is my blade from Savi's workshop. So it is not the same size. That being said, you cannot purchase this length in Doc Ondar's, so you kind of get one and you're stuck with it. Now you can purchase these if you'd prefer to have a different blade length on your custom lightsabers, so just something to mention. That also being said, if something happens with this blade, unless you have like a season pass and can maybe see if they'll exchange it for you, it's likely that you're just going to have to settle for a different blade. Okay, now moving on, obviously I only have one lightsaber to show you, but the amount of components are going to be the same no matter what version or theme of lightsaber you choose. And like I mentioned earlier, I went ahead and did protection and defense, and this one is based on kind of the Jedi Temple Guards, so the old Republic, and like protecting and defending the Jedi Order. It's less peace-based, but it is still important. And so obviously the lightsaber design is supposed to look ancient, and it's got pitted metal, and it's not like super clean like we see with a lot of the lightsabers in the Star Wars movies. That being said, each piece is machined metal, so they are actually really heavy. It does not show up on camera, but we're putting these heavy metal pieces on a plastic lightsaber chassis. So far though, they do really, really good. And so the layout is going to be the same no matter what you get. So you're going to have a top piece here. You're going to have a body, I guess, decoration. You're going to have the emitter pieces that go like this together, which you have to choose. You'll get two emitter types and you have to choose one or the other. You can't mix and match the emitter types. And then you get another piece right here, and then you get a end cap. And then there are obviously two options of each thing that you can do. Obviously, you also do pick your crystal. Again, I recommend you checking that out in my vlog because the way they do it is really, really cool. And so I'll go ahead and assemble this for you so you can see how it works, just so that you can see all basic structures. So the lightsaber or crystal fits in here, and you kind of have to get it to fit in. It balances at its points, and it does make a noise when it's inserted. The best way to check to make sure your crystal's in good is just give it a spin. If it falls out, then it's obviously not. One thing that I do want to note before we continue is that having the crystal in the lightsaber makes this continuously flash. I noticed this, and I thought that maybe if I took the crystal out, it would make the lightsaber light go into like a turn-off mode, and that is actually not the case. By the time I got home, I had this sitting in my collection room for a couple of days, and it started making noises. That same noise that happened when we inserted the crystal, it was doing it randomly, and I think that it was a sign of a low battery, because whether or not the crystal is in this, the lightsaber is still technically on. So even though we have this emitter switch when plugged in that makes the blade turn on and off, the lightsaber is actually always on unless you remove the batteries. There were people that complained that the batteries weren't very good. I mean, they just give like generic batteries, and who knows how long they sit in these chassis until somebody, gets them. And so I do recommend changing out the batteries. And if you display this, you will run out of batteries eventually. And so what I plan on doing with displaying mine is after this review, I'm going to go ahead and remove the batteries and just keep them around and then display it so that it doesn't just run out of batteries. So again, whether or not the crystal is plugged in, this thing is going to stay on. And that was not something that I knew. I started to get freaked out because I didn't quite know my battery was low. But I turned on my blade and it was like pink, and then it turned red, and I was like, what the heck? So keep in mind that these lightsabers have the ability to change colors. Now, that being said, that they're going to use the standard color LEDs. So they're going to use a blue, a red, and I think a yellow, and combine those to make the colors. So obviously purple is going to be blue and red. And when the batteries are dying, red seems to take precedence. And my lightsaber turned pink, and I was like, oh my gosh, it's broken. Definitely, these lightsabers are collectibles. Do not play with them. And I say that because the blades are really sensitive. We'll get into it in just a little bit, but they're not, you can't really even hit them around like you could the Black Series. And that is because of the whole removable aspect and the multicolor. So you get these really cool aspects to them, but they really, really take away the play value, if you will, in terms of like being able to like use your lightsaber. So just kind of, that's also something that you might want to think about if you're deciding to get this. And so I'm going to go ahead and put all the pieces on. Let's see. I think I got to remember how we do this. So the emitter, it's got colors right here that you follow on the side of the blade there. So you just click them in. It won't let you put them in wrong. So you got to just mess with it until you can line them up. But it does click in like that. My bottom piece goes like, oops. And then these lips here always have to go to the inside because there's a, let's see, what do you call these? Like screw channels? Golly, I can't think of the word. But that's how you screw them in. So if you did them the opposite way, it's not going to work. And I'm totally looking like an idiot putting this back together. It's because I'm talking. Go ahead and put the bottom on. Got to line it up. And you twist it on. Again, these are full metal, like a machined metal pieces, which is really, really nice. Definitely glad that they did that. At first, actually, I thought these were all plastic, and I was a little bit disappointed, and then I found out that they were metal, and I was like, yay. So very easy assembly. One thing to note is depending on the lightsaber type you get, I have one where you really have to line it up perfectly or it's going to look kind of weird. And so keep that in mind too, based on what you choose. You might get one that's a little bit hard that you got to be finicky to line up with if it's got like a cohesive design to it. Now the bottom of the lightsaber, they're either going to be one of two. I think all of Savi's workshop blades have this kind of traditional lightsaber hook. Now the lightsaber belt clips that they sell supports this hook as well as the hook that's like in Anakin's lightsaber, like the little chain. If you decide to get this lightsaber, don't be worried. You can buy a lightsaber belt clip and it's going to work. So here is the lightsaber, obviously. And all you got to do to plug it in is insert this based on, you got to follow. There's some rivets in here that line up the blade, and you just put it in. And then you push and twist, and that locks in the blade. And so I'm going to go ahead. This is the emitter here. I'm going to go ahead and turn it on for you. Hopefully it lights up like it does in real life. I doubt the camera will show it perfectly, though. So it's beautiful. It's purple, obviously, because the crystal inside is purple. The crystal does affect the sound that the lightsaber makes. And so it's really loud. These new ones are really super loud. And you got to make sure you have some good batteries in it or your purple one will start turning pink. Now, just to compare with my 2006 Force FX lightsaber that I got for Christmas way back when, the Mace Windu one, which I dearly love. And here it is. We'll just show the color. Now, I will warn you here that I think the batteries in this are really, really old because I really hope it's not this dim. I know that when the new Black Series Force FX lightsabers came out, they were a lot brighter, but I cannot imagine this one really being this dim. So here it is. And you can see it's purple, but nothing compared to that. This one, the Mace Windu Force FX, the old Force FX, is also much quieter, and together it looks like this one isn't on at all, which is really sad. Again, I don't have any batteries in my house other than the ones that are in it, so I can't compare to see if it's probably just dying. I really think it is, but it's actually been so long since I've turned this one on that I'm not 100% sure, but that is it. Now, in terms of blade length, I think this one is a 26-inch blade. I'm not 100% sure, but you can see at the end that the Force FX is just a hair taller. So those are kind of your general statistics if you're looking at these compared to a Force FX lightsaber. Just so you know. Now, of course, the Black Series ones, the new ones that they've made, are very, very bright and will compare to the Savi's Workshop light saber. So that being said, that's basically the general look overview, I guess, of this lightsaber. So I did want to go into a couple of other things like trying out different crystals, the finickiness with these blades, and I've already talked about how the on and off thing happens, so just be wary of that. Again, You're going to be really careful with this because since it has a removable blade, it's just going to be really finicky. So I'm going to go ahead and remove this for now. It just makes it easier for me to change out the lightsaber crystals. So the way you can change it out without taking everything off is if you just untwist this side and this side, you can reach the emitter part, which you can tell is still lit up. Let's try the red crystal. And again, you can choose red, blue, green, and purple in Savi's workshop. If you want to do a different crystal like white or yellow, you will have to buy it at Doc Ondar's. So there's the red one. I'm going to screw it back together. It gets a little bit tedious if you're going to continuously change lightsaber crystals, but I'm only doing it for the sake of this video. Go ahead and put them. Okay, so this is the red. Hopefully you can hear it. Very classic red sounding. Now, I can tell right now on my camera it looks very orange. This is 100% red, and so the camera is not showing the lightsaber color properly in this instance. Okay, so that's red. And of course, we'll just try out the other crystal I have here, which is yellow. I unfortunately don't have any other color at the moment. Let's see. Sometimes the crystals can be a little bit finicky to put in just because you kind of have to balance them. They have a little hole that they fall into once you get it right, but sometimes you find yourself messing with it for a second like I'm doing right here. So there's that. Okay. And with the yellow, you will find out I'm about to talk about how finicky these lightsaber blades can be. So, I can't get this twisted in. Hello. There you go. If anybody watched my vlog, you might have seen the part where at the end we lit up all the lightsabers. You couldn't tell in the video, but mine actually had a strip that wasn't lighting up properly, like right here. And as soon as we got done, the lady changed out my blade. Now, we'll see this problem actually reoccur with this new blade. And it wasn't something that I noticed because it does not show up on purple and red. I don't know about blue or green, but any light color, I have a defunctional light band, which hopefully will show up on the camera. So this is yellow. For one, it looks really freaking cool. It definitely sounds different. Hopefully you can hear it. And it actually, this one is pretty camera accurate here. Now, going over here, it's a little bit hard to tell, but right here I actually have a band of discoloration. The camera doesn't pick it up because it's so bright. Now it's kind of disappeared. But it looks like one strand of LEDs is actually kind of orange. It doesn't show up with the purple and red, which is fine because I don't plan on using the yellow crystal in this blade. I got the yellow crystal for my Sith holocron. Now, that being said, I was very curious to see if it was just with my lightsaber that this happened, but I actually plugged this blade into one of my husband's Ahsoka lightsaber hilts, and we get the same problem, which I will show you. Okay, so here's one of Ahsoka's lightsabers, sneak peek into my next video where I review these guys. But this one is my blade here. And when you turn it on, his obviously are white because Ahsoka's lightsabers are white. But if you come over here, you can see that band a lot better now. It has a like a purple-ish tinge to it, which is exactly why you don't see it with the red and purple. And so that being said, you can't really look out for it, but it's just something to take note, again, if you're going to drop $200. They are very good at catching any blade issues in the moment, and so it basically guarantees that the blade that you have is going to look good with the crystal you pick out, but that does not guarantee it doesn't have any flaws that show up with lighter or darker colored crystals. I hope that makes sense. I hope you were kind of able to see it in the video. I was initially a little bit disappointed with it, but for the most part, this lightsaber is just going to be displayed off, and so it's not a huge deal. And when it is on, it's going to be on with a purple crystal, and the imperfection does not show up at all. Now, if I had gotten these and wanted a white crystal, and that was the one I was really wanting, I would have been kind of mad. And so if you are in the park and you decide to do a Savi's Workshop lightsaber, what I did not do is when I decided to buy the extra crystals, I didn't try them out in my lightsaber. Now, if you buy an extra crystal that you really want your lightsaber to be like, say, a yellow or a white or a lighter color or whatever, I recommend going ahead and trying it out in your lightsaber while you're there in the park. Because if for some reason the blade has some sort of error in it, you could probably go back up to Savi's workshop and more than likely they would exchange the blade for you so that you can get one that works with the color you want. Again, I hope that makes sense. It's a little bit confusing, but that's just one of the things that is a little bit temperamental with these hand-built lightsabers or the lightsabers that allow you to customize them. There are some pros and some cons to that, if you will. So just take it with a grain of salt. I hope this review was informative. I hope that you were able to kind of understand a little bit more about the way these lightsabers work. I hope you enjoyed looking at mine and at least seeing an example, and maybe now you can be better informed when you go about the potential pros and cons of these lightsabers. But for me, it was totally worth it. Such a fun experience. And again, I recommend you be just really careful with the blades because they just seem to be a little bit temperamental. It did worry me when my lightsaber started turning pink. I just didn't think that the batteries were running out because I didn't know that the lightsaber stays in a continuous on cycle even without a crystal as long as the batteries are in it. Again, when you go there, when you're in Savi's workshop, the gatherers will make sure that you have a good chassis and a good lightsaber blade that works with the crystal you pick out. So again, if you decide to change your color and buy a different crystal at Doc Ondar's, test it out before you leave Disney to make sure that it looks good because you could end up with me like an error. To me, it's not a huge deal, something I can cope with. I hope you enjoyed this. I hope you found it informative. Please let me know what you think in the comments below. And as always, stay tuned for more videos. Until next time, guys. Bye.